years ago, you told a story, I think it was in St. Louis, about when you were critically ill, maybe dying, I think, of food poison or something.
Yeah,
and
pancreatitis.
Pancreatitis.
Right.
And it was such an awesome story. And one of the reasons I remembered it is I had never heard of this. What happened is in your story. It was the only person I could think, well, wait a minute, I know where that. And John Paul actually came out of, in Protestantism, we're only been around 500 years. But the Church of Jesus Christ is much older than that.
Yeah.
And particularly within Protestantism, with its kind of historic cessationism, that's had a very relatively short time with where more of the church was open to the gifts of the Spirit and everything. But it was about being transported and bilocation.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading about 3 years ago a lot of mystical theology from the Roman Catholic Church. And I came across things that, well, wait a minute, that sounds like Bob Jones. I thought, well, that sounds like something Bobby Conner. Well, that sounds something like John Paul Jackson said it. But you were the only guys I had ever heard talking about some of those things. And I said, well, wait a minute, there's a real history of this in the church with some of these great men of God. And I would like for you to tell that story. And I think for those that we're recording this time, and maybe if you could look just right into the camera like you're speaking and they can see those eyes of yours, and tell that story that you told of what happened.
I can do that. It was a powerful time. I was embarking on a journey with John Wimber to do some conferences in the UK and in Western Europe. I had gone leaving that day, we were flying to Cardiff, Wales, and so I left the LA airport on my leg of the journey to join him. He was already in Cardiff. And so I was feeling ill. I thought maybe it was a 24-hour flu that was kind of going around then. I thought, well, I'll get over my jet lag and I'll get over the flu at the same time. And I got to Cardiff. We did the conference in Cardiff. But I wasn't getting better. I was worse than it was when I started. We went from Cardiff, Wales to Livingston or Edinburgh, Scotland. Livingston's just outside of Edinburgh. And to do a conference there, and we did the conference, finished the conference, and I was worse than I had been. We went from Livingston then down to Harrogate, England to do a conference, and I was getting worse there. From Harrogate, I then was to go to Bern, Switzerland, and to Geneva, Switzerland to do 2 conferences there before coming back to London and meeting up with John in London. So I got to Bern, and I was getting ill, and by the time I'm not getting ill, but continuing to get worse, and by the time that I finished the conference in Bern, Switzerland, I was swollen really bad, and I was pale and yellowing. I had my ankles were so swollen they were hanging over the sides of my shoes. I had really no neck, not much facial features. My face was really puffy, and I had excruciating pain that would shoot in my back and seeming underneath my ribs or in my stomach, abdominal area. Finished the conference in Bern and was going to Geneva. Got to the hotel in Geneva. The conference has started the next day. I'm the only speaker there at this conference. I'm laying in bed. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I'm doing what I call complaining intercession. So complaining intercession kind of goes like this. Oh God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? I've been faithful. I've done everything you've asked me to do, and you haven't healed me. It's been like 21 days, literally. And I just said, you came to Daniel in 21 days. You sent your angels to Daniel. And what more do I have to do? You've got to heal me. And towards the end of it, I said, Lord, I can't go on anymore. I'm either going to the hospital in the morning or you're going to heal me. And you make the choice. You heal me and I do the conference, but you don't heal me. I'm going to the hospital because I'm really sick this time. This isn't like I've got a cold. This is, something is really, really wrong with me. I had just finished saying that and felt something or somebody standing beside me, or present. So I looked over, and there to my right was this this small man, maybe 4'10", 4'11", 5 foot tall at the highest. And he's looking at me, and he looks really old, like he's in his late 80s or 90s. It's hard to tell because he had real weathered skin and real gnarled and wrinkled hands from the sun, and had white hair slicked back on his head. And he was just looking at me. And I literally thought I was hallucinating. I thought that at that particular time, I looked and said, God, I told you I'm sick. I'm hallucinating. I think there's somebody standing here. Lord, please, I don't need this. I need you to heal me. And then I thought, wait a minute, this might be an angel of God. And I literally said, kind of old to be an angel, but nothing in the Bible says young angel, old angel. They just say angels, and say big angels, fast angels, tall angels, great angels, strong angels, but nothing says young, old. So I thought maybe it's an angel, and I said, okay, if you've sent this angel to me to pray, to be here, then I want him to pray for me, and I want to get well. And Lord, I don't want any of the spirit stuff where he puts his hand right through me. I want to feel the weight of his hand. I want to feel the heat of his hand, and I want him to put his hands on my hands, because my hands were on my stomach, because that's where I've been complaining. And I said, I want to be healed. And he looks at me, and this old man just says, I've come to pray for you so that you might get healed. So he lays his hands on my hand, and the best way I can describe it is this liquid, thick substance like honey, hot honey. That's how thick it was. I didn't see it, but it felt the thickness of honey. It went through my hands, it went through my belly, it entered into me, and like a scroll, it began to slowly unroll down my waist and slowly unroll up my chest, just slowly. And as it did, I could literally feel it rolling inside of me. And as it did, behind the scroll was no pain, and in front of the scroll was great pain and swelling. It eventually rolled out the bottom of my feet. It rolled out the top of my head, and I was instantly healed, just instantly healed. And I'm looking at the man. He's smiling at me. I'm smiling at him. I didn't take my eyes off of him. He was pretty much the focus of my attention at that moment. And right in front of my eyes, Randy, he disappeared. He just disappeared. And I jumped out of my bed, and I said, Lord, thank you for sending your angel to heal me. Thank you for sending your angel to heal me. I'm going to the conference. I'm healed. And I hear the audible voice of God, Randy. I hear the audible voice of God, and he says, I didn't send an angel. I was shocked. I literally fell to the floor, and I thought, the devil healed me. God, and I began to pray, Lord, the devil healed me. You let the devil heal me. Why did you do that? I wasn't complaining that bad. You let the devil heal me. I'm your servant. I've been doing what you called me to do. I have done everything you've asked me to do, and you let the devil heal me. You could have stopped him, and you didn't, and now I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And so I am laying on the floor, complaining, aching. Why did you do that? The devil kills, is a killer, a stealer, a destroyer. Now he's done destroyed me, and you let him do it. And then I hear the voice, almost the voice of the Lord. I mean, he wasn't laughing, but there was like humor in this tone, and he said, it wasn't him. Just audibly, so clearly, it wasn't him. And so I go, well, Lord, if it wasn't an angel, and if it wasn't the devil, who was it? And instantly, Randy, just like that, I'm taken in a vision to a little hut, and I'm looking inside this hut, like the wall disappears. I'm looking inside this hut, and there on a dirt floor is kneeling on his knees with his arms outstretched like this man that had just been with me. And he is crying to the Lord, and he's saying this. He's saying, Lord, do you even know I'm here? Do you even know I exist? I'm this little old man, and I live in this little village outside, in this little village in Mexico. And he identified the country here in Mexico. And he says, I'm going to stand before you soon. I'm not going to live much longer. And I have nothing to lay at your feet. Nothing. I don't even know if you're hearing me right now. I don't even know if you know I exist. But is it too late to use me? is there anything that you could use me to do? I know I'm old, but is there anything you can use me to do? And I'm taken out of that, and as I'm coming back from the vision, I hear the Lord saying to me that I took this man at his word and I used him. And much of what you do from this point on, I will credit to his account. Because I probably would have died. Much of what you do from this point on, I will credit to his account. So if you're watching right now and you're wondering if God can use you, and you feel like you're too old to be used, maybe you feel like you're too young to be used, maybe you feel like you're not trained enough to be used, maybe you feel like you don't know enough to be used, maybe you feel like you're not spiritual enough to be used. I don't know, but I know this. All of those things that I just described, he felt, and God used him. We limit God. We make him far too small. There's nothing impossible for him. You're here for a purpose. You are here by divine appointment. There's never been a time he didn't know you would be here. From the beginning of everything, he knew you would be here. You're here for a purpose. Find that purpose. God has a specific way he wants to use you. You are put in the exact place. Acts 17 verses 26 through 28 says that God has determined the exact time you would live, and he's determined exactly where you would live. From before the foundation of the earth, this was all determined. You live here, you're where you're at, you're watching this right now by divine appointment of God. There's something that this is going to do in your heart and in your spirit to change your life for his glory and for his use. Never sell God short and never make him too small. And by the way, don't make yourself too small in this matter as well. You're here by God's grand design, and that means no one can do what you're called to do better than you. Don't make God small by making yourself small. You are put here for a purpose. Let him do it in you.